Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain, where we've swapped our coffee for a bit of mint tea. As after I had my sinus issues over the past week or so, my taste buds are just kind of wonky right now. Coffee tastes weird, but a lot of things just kind of taste weird. And no, I don't have the COVID or anything like that. I've already gotten tested, and honestly, just a sinus infection. Just boring, basic, nothing crazy. I missed one day of work because it was just a real I think I was so medicated on Dayquil and NyQuil that I was like, I can't do it today. But they gave me, they gave me a shot and they gave me some things to take home, and I did all that too. So took a day down, and that is actually why I missed one day that I was supposed to record, not record but release, because I thought I did. And I want to blame my meds for that. So I'm sorry, but I will double up some episodes along the way, just one right after the other. But I usually do every other day, and I meant to, I think it was the 5th. I want to say I missed the 5th, so I apologize for that. But I'll try to catch up in the very near future. But today, we're not talking about all that, although we did. And we are talking about The Stormborne Vine by Tilly Wallace. And this looks like it's going to be number 1 of the Leaf and Scale series. So, take a little sip. Oh, and my mug. If you didn't catch the other episode where I talked about it, this is a new purchase. This is not sponsored. I am just highlighting a small artist who does ceramics, and it's called the Biggie, Biggie, and I want to say that's her name on Instagram, but let me double check. I found her on Instagram, loved her work, and was so happy that she had, let's see, oh, is this it? Oh, yes. Biggie.projects. So Biggie.projects. So even though she currently has no custom and no DMs, she did have some still available in her shop. And lots of cute, Miyazaki inspired. There's some Jigglypuff in here. Wait, is that Jigglypuff? No, that's Kirby. Sorry, pink thing with a big mouth. Kirby. There's a cute little duck, and looks like she just does some really fun things. So this is her card that came with the mug. This is the mug over here. I just really want to highlight her because even though this is not sponsored, I fell in love with the stuff. So wanted to give a small shout out to her and her studio. So sorry, small little burp. But let's dive into the book of The Stormborne Vine by Tilly Wallace. Now, I did give this book, I think I did probably give this a 5-star review. Honestly, just super fun. Had a great time. Does not take itself too seriously. And has all the kind of quirky, cozy, magical things that I really kind of love encountering. I will say the one thing that I was not a fan of was the relationship of there's a brother in here and his widowed sister, and I think that relationship was incredibly just harsh and very frustrating for me to read at times. But I think it's because I just don't understand people who don't have compassion for especially brothers and sisters, siblings who may lose a spouse. And so that was something that it didn't change my thinking about the book. It was a part of the book that was, for me, emotionally charged, not because I've gone through it, but because I guess I could empathize with Fern and her newfound friend, Millicent. And anyway, I'll dive back into that. Let me read you guys the summary. So, determined spinster versus carnivorous wallflower. In a corner of rural England, Fern Oakby makes a living through her knowledge of botany. An unusual case erupts during a storm when a Boston ivy turns monstrous and carnivorous. However, the plant is not as simple as hacking down the exceedingly rare and hungry plant. The storm has also given life to an origami dragon and bound it to the vine. When a lonely woman pleads with Fern to save the tiny dragon, she is forced to confront a profound question: what defines the value of life? In a world where ancient magic lingers, every day, no matter how small or strange, holds immeasurable worth. As Fern races against time to unravel dark secrets at the estate, the vine continues to grow. She must find a way to destroy it before it spreads or snatches more lives. Nor, as she discovers, is the little dragon the only life in need of saving. So, now this does say that Tilly Wallace has also written the Manners and Monsters series that's set in Regency, England, and I think I am probably going to go try to find that as well. One of my favorite websites is Thrift Books, because I love trying to give life to used books. I also have a free little library outside of my front door where sometimes if I've read some books and I don't think I'm going to read them again, I put them out there for my neighbors to also enjoy. But I'll probably check Thrift Books. If I don't find them there, then maybe I'll find them on another website that I can also patron as well. But let's dive into Fern's life. Fern is, and I want to say she's probably in her maybe early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. She is a spinster as she's not married, and she's taking up the what I would call family trade of botany. Her father had done a lot of botanical work, gathering rare plants and seeds and things of that, and nurturing these things to life. And Fern also has this really, really cool green thumb. I wouldn't say she's magical per se, but there is a sense of magic that kind of pervades a lot of these stories. So there is speculation that maybe she could possibly have a drop of magic herself that helps her, I guess, work with these plants. Who knows? Because she's able to grow some very exotic plants that she's able to sell to alchemists and others for medicinal and alchemy purposes. Well, she also lives with her uncles, and so they just have this happy little life where they're gardening and living life and playing chess, and just seems to be overall not too stressful of a life. And I mean, Fern, she doesn't seem too eager to find a match, find a husband, so to speak. And she's pretty content with her life in general, so she's not like overly eager to pursue that avenue. There's also these three ladies in town who they are kind of known as the Weird Sisters. And I do think they are supposed to reference to like Macbeth's three sisters of like the one who can see like the past and prophecy and the present and the future sort of thing. They've got a bit of magic as well, but it does seem magic is fading in this particular world. So, one of Fern's occupations is she hires herself out to help lords and ladies in their manor homes who have gardening issues. And so she's called to a manor out about 2 hours away, horse ride away. And when she gets there, one of the first issues, the first issue she encounters is that there is a spot of ground not too far from a fountain that is dead, and it does every time the gardener tries to pull it up and redo it and pull it up and redo it, the ground just continues to die. So the Lord, he wants this to be fixed because this is his wife's favorite part of the garden, and so he's called in Fern to try to fix this issue for him. Well, she gets there a little bit later in the day, and so she's going to try to address it in the next morning. Like, she's going to figure it out the next morning. She's got some speculations of what she thinks it might be. Maybe there's some rusted pipes, and maybe they're causing runoff, and maybe the ground is kind of like got some toxic rust water in it that's causing death. She's not sure. She's going to have to really kind of get in there. But overnight, as she stays the night in the house, a really bad, almost like, supernatural storm kind of blows through. And the next morning, they're unable to find the head gardener, Mr. Corsby, something like that. Anyway, he was really crotchety, and he didn't like Fern, and he didn't think she knew what she was doing. Well, it's kind of funny that he's the one who is the first victim of this new Stormborne vine, because overnight, this storm somehow magically charged, once in a lifetime sort of storm that is very rare, has blown through, and one of the Boston ivies that was in part of the garden has now turned into what I picture as Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horror. Like, it is eating people, and it's eating birds and other small rodents, and it did, in fact, this is not spoiling it because it happens pretty quickly, eating the head gardener. So they do find him underneath the kind of in the root system, like it's pulled him down and it's pretty much been consuming him like a carnivorous plant would. And so now Fern has to figure that out as well, because also over the course of the night, Millicent, who is the Lord's sister who lives in the manor, and she's been shut away. Her husband has passed, and her brother's really quite mean to her. She has been more or less in the library writing stories, or maybe in her room writing stories. A story didn't really play out the way she wanted it to, or she didn't feel like it was very good. And she folded up an origami dragon. She made like a little origami dragon. It sounds really cute. I've only ever seen the little cranes made, or the little things made. They're really fun too. But overnight, the origami dragon becomes animated and becomes almost real in a way. Like, it's breathing and it acts and reacts, but every time they try to cut the vine that's outside, these same slashes and cuts tend to show up on the baby dragon. And so Millicent is absolutely just apoplectic about the fact that her little squib that's what she calls him, squib, is being tormented when they try to remove this vine. So Fern's goal is to try to figure out how to separate the vine from the dragon in order to destroy the vine and not destroy the dragon. So that's pretty much the big thing. Along the way, she also discovers kind of what is causing the fountain issues, and she's gonna have to figure that mystery out as well. That is something that she is working to also, she figures this out, but it creates yet another mystery for her to have to solve. So there are a couple things set up in this particular story that I think are going to lend well to future books. There is a doctor, or not doctor, he's like an alchemist, but he's also a lord, and he's like Drakeman, I think he's it. Yeah, as like Lord Drakeman. She goes and asks him his advice. He's like an alchemist, and he's one of the people who actually purchases some of her more rare flowers. And I feel as though we could possibly get some sort of romantic interest in the future, but it doesn't pop up in this book. But they are just sassy enough to each other that I feel like in the future it could play out in a really fun, probably cute, like, they're not like enemies by any means, so it's not an enemies to lovers sort of trope, but it's more of like two stubborn people who just happen to fit together really well. And I could foresee that happening, but I'm not the author, so I can't tell you like if that's predicted or planned for the future. But I do see a couple things that at the end of this book are going to lend towards a some really fun, cute, additional cozy fantasy stories. Again, all my favorite things. You got dragons, you've got a little bit of magic, but not too much magic. You've got this really sassy, determined main character, this main protagonist, Fern, who is really just like, she's totally fine being this independent woman, don't need no man sort of thing. And I really like that about her. But she's also really protective of the people she loves and the people she cares for. And you see that throughout this story as well. So honestly, I loved it. It hit me in the perfectly right way, and I can't wait to see more from this series. I'm very excited. Now, this book did release January 28th of 2025, and I don't think I said that earlier. So I'm probably a few days behind, but I had a lot to read. It's been crazy. As you all know, the world, or the US government, everything's kind of in chaos, and of course, I was also sick. So everything just kind of culminates. And I'm just so glad that I had the opportunity to read this book because it was absolutely delightful. Again, I gave it 5 stars because it just hit me in all the best ways. Is it perfect? No. But am I super eager to dive into the next one? Yes, absolutely. But until next time, I hope you guys will like and subscribe. If you're not subscribed, I hope you will think this channel may be worth clicking on to subscribe to. I do post videos every other day, or try to, when I'm not under the weather. And we just read a ton of books. That's what we do here. But thank you so much, and I will see you guys on the next page. I hope you have a great one. Bye.